Doug NPA back with another video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button on the way in. I'd really appreciate it. It shows you support me and the content on this channel. So guys, my Awful Woman series is going to continue with this woman here. She's a nurse, married, who deleted her 3 children. She strangled them to death. This happened about a month ago, and her husband forgives her and is standing by her. Guys, stories like these just blow my mind. We're going to get into this news story. Let's see what's going on with this one.
This mother has been charged with strangling her 3 young children. Her lawyers blame postpartum depression, and her husband is standing by her. But prosecutors say she knew exactly what she was doing.
So they're blaming postpartum depression for her 3 kids not being here anymore. Women have a way out of everything, guys, and men don't. And that's the reality of it. And it's going to be interesting to see her lawyer's defense, because could she get off using this postpartum depression thing? There's a good chance she could. Let's keep going.
Amber Cagliano with the story that we should warn you has details that may be upsetting for some viewers.
How could this happen? A mom accused of strangling her 3 kids.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
32-year-old Lindsay Clancy spoke from her hospital bed at her bail hearing. Police say she tried to jump out a second-floor window after strangling her children in the basement of her home.
So she did the deed, and she jumped off the second-story window and landed on the concrete. So that's why she's doing her testimony from a hospital bed.
Party off the top floor of the house.
She is now paralyzed from the waist down.
Well, at least she's paralyzed. At least she has to pay somehow.
Clancy was a labor and delivery nurse. She even made videos for newborn mothers.
So there are a lot of benefits for both mother and baby.
Her lawyers say she was suffering from postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. But prosecutors say she was clear thinking and planned the murders.
She used Apple Maps to make sure she would have enough time to strangle each child before her husband.
Look at this guy here. Look at this guy by the screen in the back here. You can see how disturbed he looks. And look at this lady. I think she's part of the jury too, I think. Look how disturbed they look when this lady is talking. Because this lady is sick. She used Apple Maps to make sure that she had enough time. She sent her husband away and made sure that she had enough time to do the deeds and before he came home. This is disgusting.
Husband returned from where she had sent him. The defendant did not take advantage of the situation when her husband left the home that night. She created the situation.
The prosecutor said Clancy used an exercise band to strangle 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan.
She had to strangle each of them to unconsciousness and then make sure the bands were squeezing their little necks for several minutes.
Clancy's defense attorney says she was seeking help that did not come in time.
But even if she's seeking help, so she doesn't get the help, so she does something like this. Guys, who you marry and who you have kids with is probably the most important decision of your life. And you can't tell me that there weren't signs. And why did it take to the 3rd one for her to have enough postpartum depression to do something like this? There were signs along the way, and the husband chose to ignore it. He probably decided to ignore the signs because he was in love with her when they first met, then when they got married, and then when the first child came, she's probably almost did something like this. There were red flags here, and he chose to ignore it, and these children paid the price.
She was having bad thoughts. She was having worsening depression. This is clearly a tragic.
Clancy's husband, Patrick, says he forgives his wife. And so does this.
What a simp. You forgive your wife for deleting your 3 children.
This man, you might recall Russell Yates. He's the husband of the notorious Andrea Yates, who drowned their 5 children in a bathtub 22 years ago.
That was 22 years ago? I remember that case. She was schizophrenic, though. And I think she's still in a mental hospital. This lady is just saying it was postpartum depression.
Next step of forgiveness, I'd say, is understanding it's a sickness. Like in this case, you can do all you can at home, but you really can't protect yourself from a psychotic person at home. I mean, they get up in the middle of the night and, light the house on fire.
George Parnham was Andrea Yates' attorney.
To come to a realization that You took the lives of the people that you gave life to. They have to live with this for the rest of their lives.
Dr. Catherine Berndorf treats women with postpartum depression.
She was not in her, quote, right mind when she made those decisions. She believed that by killing her kids, by killing herself, that she was probably helping them. She was not in a sane state of mind.
Excuses, excuses, excuses. Once again, guys, women get all the excuses in the world. If this were a guy that had done this, he'd be on death row. But she's a woman. So she already has her foot halfway out of this, as far as I'm concerned.
Dr. Berndorf says some patients will need to be medicated.
For postpartum psychosis, we often use at minimum 2 medications, a mood stabilizer and an antipsychotic. Those are 2 serious medications that work very well.
Okay, that's the end of that, guys. This woman should be thrown under the jail. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Do you think that postpartum depression is a real thing? And what do you think her sentence is going to be? Because I think she already has 1 foot halfway out the door. And then she jumped off the roof of the house. So she's in the hospital. She's paralyzed. The jury's going to feel sorry for her because of her injury. Yeah, she already has her foot halfway out the door on this one. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.